Hello and welcome to Millennium Sports World. Today we will present local and international sports stories including March Madness, tennis, boxing, golf, auto race, NFL, NBA, MLB soccer and some more sports news. So let's find out what's waiting in today's sports world. At first, let's go for NCAA championship news. LSU wins first national championship in program history, downing Iowa in NCAA tournament Final Four. A record-setting performance on both sides sent LSU to its first national championship in program history and gave coach Kim Mulkey titles with two programs, Baylor and LSU. Jasmine Carson scored 22 points to lead the Tigers and Angel Reels recorded yet another double-double to hold off Iowa 100-85 on Sunday at American Airlines Center in Dallas. Now latest MMA news. Anthony Pettis managed to pull off a majority decision win over Roy Jones Jr. in his professional boxing debut in the main event of Gamebred Boxing 4, fighting in front of his hometown Milwaukee crowd and giving up size, power and a lot of experience to his 54-year-old foe. Pettis looked confident, trading hands with one of the most accomplished boxers of the past half-century. While Jones appeared to land the cleaner punches, Pettis had the higher output and was constantly marching forward, throwing his combinations in succession. When it was over, two judges gave Pettis the fight with scores of 77-75 and 78-74, with the third official handing down a 76-76 score, which resulted in the majority decision. Pettis was understandably elated with the victory, but he remained non-committal about what comes next after making a successful debut in boxing on Saturday. He is a legend of the sport, Pettis said of Jones. "I am going to take it one fight at a time. I am 1-0 as a pro, so I am excited to see what the future holds. I had a great team behind me and I wanted this." Despite a lot of disadvantages in the fight, Pettis was more than happy to exchange punches with the boxing legend, showcasing fast hands with every combination starting behind his lead jab. Now some latest tennis stories. 12-seeded Petra Kvitova won the Miami Open in her 13th appearance, beating 7-seeded Elena Rybakina with a marathon tiebreaker in a 7-6, 6-2 victory Saturday. The 33-year-old Kvitova, 10 years older than her opponent, snapped Rybakina's 13-match winning streak and halted her bid to win the Sunshine Double, that means Indian Wells and Miami Open, in winning with will, stalwart defense and one sensational forehand winner on the dead run that electrified the crowd in the second set. The lefty Kvitova captured her 30th WTA singles title and first one since 2018 in Madrid. After Rybakina hit a forehand long on match point, Kvitova raised her arms and put her hands to her head. She was broken just once in the match. It was her 41st career WTA Finals appearance but first final in Miami. She also will vault into the top 10. "I take it as a positive. I can still play with the best," said Kvitova, who earned a 1.26 million first prize. "I take pride even at my age. I could win big tournaments." Kvitova, who is from the Czech Republic, disagreed with the announcement Wimbledon would accept Russian players this year. Rybakina, the reigning Wimbledon champion, is from Moscow but represents Kazakhstan. Russian and Belarusian players will be able to compete at Wimbledon as neutral athletes after the All England club on Friday reversed its ban from last year. The players must sign declarations of neutrality and comply with appropriate conditions, including not expressing support for Russia's invasion of Ukraine. This was an incredibly difficult decision, not taken lightly or without a great deal of consideration for those who will be impacted, All England Club chairman Jan Hewitt said in a statement. The players cannot receive funding from the Russian or Belarusian states, including sponsorship from companies operated or controlled by the states. Australian Open champion Aryna Sabalenka of Belarus and Russian players Daniil Medvedev and Andrei Rublev are among the players who can return. Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba condemned the reversal as immoral. Has Russia ceased its aggression or atrocities? No, it's just that Wimbledon decided to accommodate two accomplices in crime. I call on the UK government to deny visas to their players, Kuleba wrote on Twitter. Other tennis tournaments have allowed Russian and Belarusian players to compete as neutral athletes. Their nationalities are not listed in the brackets, official results, or graphics on TV broadcasts of matches. But as in some other team sports, Russia and Belarus were not permitted to participate in the Billie Jean King Cup or Davis Cup by the International Tennis Federation. A tennis umpire from the Dominican Republic was handed a lifetime ban from the sport on Thursday for manipulating the scoring of matches in 2019. Fabian Carrero was found to have committed 16 breaches of tennis anti-corruption program across 8 matches in tournaments held in the Dominican Republic in November and December 2019. Carrero manipulated the match scoring in a handheld device to facilitate guaranteed betting wins on specific points, the International Tennis Integrity Agency said in a statement. He has been suspended since March last year while the case proceeded. He can no longer officiate or attend events organized by tennis governing bodies. Now, latest MLB story. San Francisco Giants catcher Joey Bart was placed on the 10-day injured list Sunday with a strain in the middle of his back. The move was made retroactive to March 31, and the team recalled right-handed reliever Sean Jelly from Triple-A Sacramento before its series final against the New York Yankees. Bart was scratched from the lineup Saturday with back tightness, and manager Gabe Kepler said a scan showed a very small mid-back strain. We don't expect it to be a long-term thing. It feels more short-term, Kepler said. We discussed the possibility of like 7 days, maybe a few more. Versatile rookie Blake Saville was set to start behind the plate Sunday at Yankee Stadium. The 25-year-old Saville was selected by Cincinnati from Pittsburgh in the Rule 5 draft for unprotected players at the winter meetings and then traded to San Francisco hours later. He made his major league debut on opening day and started the first 2 games of the season in left field. But Saville has extensive experience as a catcher in the minors and in college at Southern California. Now, latest NFL news. John Brockington, a former All-Pro fullback who ranks 4th on the Green Bay Packers career rushing list, has died. He was 74. The Packers announced Brockington died Friday in San Diego. Brockington played for the Packers from 1971 to 77 and rushed for 5,024 yards during that stretch. The only players to gain more yards rushing with the Packers are Ahman Green, Jim Taylor, and Aaron Jones. He was the first running back in NFL history to rush for over 1,000 yards in each of his first 3 seasons. Brockington also spent part of the 1977 season with the Kansas City Chiefs and finished his career with 5,185 yards rushing. He had 30 touchdown runs and 4 touchdown catches. The Packers selected Brockington, a native of the Brooklyn borough of New York City, out of Ohio State with the 9th overall pick in the 1971 draft. Now, latest NBA story. The most financially successful era in NBA history will continue uninterrupted for at least 6 more years after the league and its players came to a tentative agreement on a new collective bargaining agreement that will kick in this summer. It took more than a year of bargaining, with the intensity and expectation growing in recent days, and the handshake agreement was struck in the wee hours of Saturday morning, shortly after the league intended to tell the National Basketball Players Association of its plan to opt out of the current CBA on June 30. Instead, a deal got done, at least in principle. The NBA and National Basketball Players Association have reached a tentative agreement on a new collective bargaining agreement, pending ratification by players and team governors, was the league's only comment, coming shortly before 3 a.m. Eastern. Technically, it will be a 7-year deal, though either side can opt out a year early, meaning labor peace is only assured through the 2028-29 season. It will also begin the era of an in-season tournament, something Commissioner Adam Silver has wanted for years. Barring a change to the current plan, teams will be given an 80-game schedule for next season in August. Those 80 games will include tournament games, probably 4, that will count in regular season standings. All teams will have 2 more games added to their schedule eventually, so the full 82-game slate is played. The 2 teams that make the tournament final will be playing an 83rd game that won't count in the standings. Now, latest auto race story. Red Bull's Max Verstappen claimed his first Australian Grand Prix on Sunday in remarkable circumstances after a chaotic F1 race filled with drama from the green light to the checkered flag. Although Red Bull's first triumph in Melbourne since 2011 was expected, the carnage that unfolded in the later stages of the race at Albert Park made it an extremely hard-fought win. 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton, who drove superbly in his Mercedes, finished second, while Aston Martin's Fernando Alonso took third spot on the podium. Only 12 of the 20 starters finished the race, with Australian Oscar Piastri making the most of the disorder to finish 8th and claim his first championship points for McLaren. Verstappen was pleased to clinch victory but queried the decision by stewards to issue a red flag after a crash on lap 55 of the 58-lap race instead of deploying a safety car. He held a comfortable lead at the stage but then had to fight to hold the front position from Hamilton when the race was restarted. Now it's time for some boxing stories. Former 2-time world heavyweight boxing champion Anthony Joshua returned to his winning ways, but only after an unconvincing display in a unanimous points victory over Jermaine Franklin on Saturday night. The British fighter had lost 3 of his last 5 contests, which included consecutive losses to Alexander Usyk, but he won again for the first time since 2020 after the judges scored the London bout 118-111, 117-111 and 117-111 in favor of Joshua. "I would have liked a knockout, but it's important to get the win," Joshua said. Joshua regularly landed with his left jab and caught Franklin on a number of occasions with his powerful right, but the American heavyweight stood firm at the 0-2 arena. A bizarre finish saw the 12th round appearing to end 8 seconds early before Joshua pushed his head into Franklin, and it spurred an angry reaction from Lorenzo Adams, the strength and conditioning coach of Franklin, who pushed Joshua. It was quickly settled and Joshua's hand was lifted again to earn him a 25th professional win and keep alive hopes of a Battle of Britain with WBC champion Tyson Fury. Scottish boxing great Ken Buchanan, who became the undisputed world lightweight champion in 1971 and won his first 33 fights, has died at the age of 77. His death was announced Saturday in a Facebook post from the Ken Buchanan Foundation, which read, "It's with great sadness that we have to inform you that Ken Buchanan passed away peacefully in his sleep this morning. Further announcements will come, and please give the family some time to process this sad news. Rest in peace, Ken. Always a gentleman and one of the best champions we will ever see." Buchanan's son revealed last year that the former boxer was suffering from dementia and living in a nursing home. Buchanan finished his career with a 61-8 win-loss record. The boxer won the WBA lightweight title in 1970 by defeating Ismael Laguna in a famous fight in Puerto Rico and added the WBC crown the following year with victory over Ruben Navarro. Now it's time for some latest golf news. Brooks Koepka became known for showing up big in the majors. He started to hit his stride Saturday with a 6 under 65 for a 3-shot lead in Live Golf Orlando on the weekend before Koepka heads for the Masters. Koepka played bogey-free at Orange County National. Sebastian Munoz of Colombia, who followed his 62 with an even par 71, was second. Mito Pereira, Laurie Cantor and Patrick Reed were 4 shots back. Koepka will try to become the first multiple winner since the Saudi-funded Live Golf began last June. He won a year ago in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, in a playoff over Peter Whelan. Before that, Koepka's last win was in February 2021 in the Phoenix Open as he battled a various assortment of injuries. Just got rid of the mental mistakes, Koepka said. He considered his previous 2 Live Golf tournaments this year in Mexico and Tucson, what he called dump mistakes at Mayakoba and then go to Tucson, and I played the tough holes really well and played the easy ones probably the worst in the field. Koepka won 4 majors in a span of 3 years, 2 US Opens and 2 PGA Championships. The Masters starts next week at Augusta National. Aaron Wise has withdrawn from the Masters, posting on social media that he needs time away to focus on his mental health. He will not be replaced in the field, which now is 88 players. Golf is just as much a mental game as it is one of physical skill, and the mental piece of it has been a struggle for me recently, Wise posted on Instagram. I don't take the significance of playing at Augusta lightly, but I know that I need to take some time away to focus on my mental health so I can get back to competing at a level I am proud of. Wise has not played the Masters since his only trip in 2019, when he qualified by winning the AT&T Byron Nelson the year before. He won 1 match but didn't make it out of group play at the Dell Match Play last week. He had missed the cut in 4 of his previous 5 tournaments. Wise qualified for the Masters by making it to the Tour Championship, moving into the 30th spot in the FedEx Cup standings because of the players ahead of him who had joined Live Golf. Now some latest soccer news. Prolific striker Erling Haaland was not part of Manchester City's squad to play Liverpool on Saturday after failing to recover from a growing injury. The Norway international, who has scored 42 goals in all competitions this season, had to withdraw from his country's European Championship qualifiers against Spain and Georgia last week because of the problem. He is not fit, he doesn't feel proper, City manager Pep Guardiola said ahead of the game. It is not a big issue, but today he was not right. Haaland leads the Premier League scoring charts with 28 goals and has hit 9 in his last 3 games in all competitions. The game was important for both teams, with City 8 points behind first place Arsenal with a game in hand, and Liverpool fighting to secure a top 4 spot for Champions League qualification. Guardiola earlier this week said the 22-year-old Haaland would be given the chance to prove his fitness during the team's training session on Friday. Haaland's father, Ulf Ing, was quoted by Norwegian TV during the week, saying his son had traveled to Barcelona for treatment. World Cup winner Julian Alvarez started up front for the defending champions along with Riyad Mahrez and Jack Grealish. City was also without winger Phil Foden, who is recovering from appendix surgery. Erik ten Hag has said a club like Manchester United must play Champions League football as he looks to guide them back into the competition. Ten Hag has enjoyed considerable success at Old Trafford since joining in the summer of 2022, leading the club to its first silverware since 2016, as well as a European quarter-final and an FA Cup semi-final. However, he will not be satisfied unless they reach the Champions League next season. Let's make one thing clear, we have to play Champions League football. Ten Hag said when asked about offering new signings the opportunity to play in Europe's elite competition. A club like Manchester United has to play in the Champions League, so there is no misunderstanding. Of course, we are more interesting when we are in the Champions League, but when we are not, we are still attractive for players. I have noticed that last year when we were not in the Champions League, but I want to make my point clear, we have to be in the Champions League. Ten Hag alluded to United's pull even without Champions League football, citing the signing of Casemiro last summer as an example, but he is insistent that the club needs to return to the competition. United can still qualify by finishing in the Premier League's top 4 or by winning the Europa League. United's bid to finish in the top 4 restarts on April 2 as they travel to Newcastle, with the Magpies also looking to end their absence from the competition. They then face Brentford on April 5 as they look to exorcise some demons from earlier this season. A police investigation has been launched after an object, reportedly a brick, was thrown at the Liverpool team bus after their defeat to Man City. As the Reds team coach left the Etihad after their 4-1 drubbing against City, a brick was allegedly thrown, cracking a window. It is believed that no one on board was injured and the bus was able to carry on with its journey. However, the Greater Manchester Police have launched an investigation into the incident. City released an official statement on the incident, reading, "We understand an object was thrown towards the coach in a residential area. Incidents of this kind are totally unacceptable, and we strongly condemn the actions of the individual responsible. We will fully support Greater Manchester Police's investigation into this incident in any way we can." GMP also released a statement on the incident, saying, "Following today's Premier League fixture between Manchester City and Liverpool, GMP received reports of criminal damage to Liverpool FC players' coach. It is reported that incident took place at approximately 3:40 p.m. on Ashton New Road, close to the junction of Roseley Street. There were no reports of any injuries and the Liverpool club coaches were able to continue with their journey. An investigation has now been launched by Greater Manchester Police to identify and locate the offenders. Earlier in the day, City had condemned the hateful chanting from home fans in their victory over the Reds. A section of supporters could be heard chanting, "Always the victim, it's never your fault," at rival Liverpool fans during the first half of City's 4-1 win at the Etihad. Now it's time for latest cricket news. Star New Zealand batsman Ken Williamson has been ruled out of the rest of the Indian Premier League season with a knee injury, his franchise Gujarat Titans said Sunday. "It is sad to lose Ken to injury so early in the tournament. We wish him a speedy recovery, with the hope of seeing him in action very soon," Gujarat Director of Cricket Vikram Solanki said in a statement. Williamson will now head home to New Zealand for further assessment. The Gujarat Titans will finalize a replacement for the right-handed batter and an announcement will be made in due course, the statement added. Williamson jarred his knee attempting a catch in the opening game of the current IPL on Friday between Gujarat and Chennai Super Kings in front of more than 100,000 fans in Ahmedabad. The 32-year-old New Zealand captain tried to get up but couldn't and had to be helped off the field by 2 physios. Williamson's exit after just one match of the Big Box IPL is a blow to Gujarat as they seek to successfully defend their title after a fairy tale debut season in 2022. Other foreign players at Gujarat include South African big hitter David Miller, Australian Matthew Wade, Afghan spin wizard Rashid Khan, West Indies all-rounder Adian Smith, and Irish bowler Joshua Little. That's all in today's Sports World. Keep watching Millennium Sports World for latest sports updates. Millennium TV US and Millennium News 24 network is transmitted and available to be watched free for all at TVs such as Sony, Samsung, LG, Roku TV, Amazon TV and Apple TV, and also in all European countries and Australia, available with Sky Network, Worldwide Jadoo TV, Radiant IPTV, worldwide Jago BD network, and Horizon satellite globally. Stay connected with us for all types of informative and entertainment program. Thank you.